Le-Autiam Fanahi, Siyazishuta. This is what we've been dreaming of, ne?
Finally.
We've been dreaming about these things. We
Finally.
build our own platforms.
Yeah.
Sizithengela wethu ama-cameras. We build our own assets. Siba nama-passive generational platforms and incomes, revenues and whatnot.
It's been years since you've been thinking about this. And then I remember telling you that you mustn't underestimate what you think about. It will happen.
Yeah, isukile itswe.
Sure.
Umavusana ufana sehlonga ndlebe phansi kwazafasi ipansule intwana yazalelwe etrainini. Ngiyakutshela. 303 houses, less than 400 square meters. Sishera i-toilet eyi-1, we are about 6-7 families. With Magedlela no Taekwondo la.
Each other. Aye. Nami say outing is big. Utike Thabo Taekwondo Matula Makonga Majafa Mabeta Mashiana Mahala Mahadis. Sure. Yeah, no, finally we've been rearing. And I don't know how long has this been. Yeah. It's been years since you've been thinking about this. And then I remember telling you that you mustn't underestimate what you think about. It will happen.
Sure.
And because you know me as a person who tandaza kakhulu, I once told you that as a man thinketh, so is he. Sure. So don't think that it won't happen. The horizons and the atmosphere, the universe is turning to respond to you. And finally it's here, it has responded.
Sure. Yeah. You know what I like about you and Mganamine? When I tell people, I tell them that you are my friend, you are my blood, you are my brother, you are my mentor, you are my teacher, you are my business partner. Siyo yonke le nyaka lena. You are so amazing, my brother, and I'm so fortunate to have brothers like you and people about meet the life in Yam, especially through the life ye art and through the life of ye art, and then ngafunda ne art ye life yourself.
Yeah.
Mangathi ngikhuluma nawe.
Mina mfethu, I remember the time you and I started engaging in just picking our brain and starting to know who you are. Besides then, I know for a fact that I didn't know there were things that you've done previously in the media. Then I remember the time I was working for Kalawa Jasmine. I used to do a video. Now I was a vixen, dancer lap and whatnot. And then once posted a video dancing, and then you took out the old file. You remember that time? You took out that old file, and I'm like, So we actually have been doing the same thing, and we met because of this same thing. We met because of the same mindset, regardless of who's mentoring who. You don't know that you are mentoring me, Mganwam. Yeah. You do. With a lot of things I've learned from you. Sure. When you just have a good way of expressing, and I fail to express, but I know for a fact, in my heart, actions are able to say, no, you've done this, you've done that. Yeah. Yeah, but the little things that you've done that you never noticed that you did, and when you would come and express it in a bigger way, like look at the introduction that you gave me, like, no, my mentor, my this, my that. It's difficult.
No, my pastor, I understand. Yeah. Spiritual leader.
Look at you.
Yeah. I'm so humble, and all the time when I meet with you, and there's a lot of things that gets to transform my life. Yeah, and not many people know ukuthi kunamapansula acabanga kaso who are very unique. Sure. And we've built platforms for other people, and we've developed other people.
For sure.
And also in the spaces where you were also featured, automatically you were a leader, and some of the people will be threatened just because of the strength and the power and the contribution that you'll always have. But we'll get to all those things. I mean, what I honor is that Unamapansula, that are doing great things out there. For an example, like you, my brother, you are a community leader, and we pansula, you've danced pansula, and then you've did karate, about taekwondo, many different athletic disciplines. You did about tap dance, the Afrofusion, about ballet, from ngathini, dusty streets and humble beginnings, and then you were able to do theater stuff also as well, the musicals. You did the corporate. You mentored so many young people who are coming from the community groups, and you've mentored the community leaders who are even leading those community groups also as well. You've mentored the theater practitioners and the directors, and there's so many of people whom you worked with, who are your elders, whom have grasped a lot. And I know that you are humble. You always say that it's an exchange, and you also got a lot from all these other people.
Yeah.
For us as Amapansula, we celebrate you, my brother.
Well, appreciation,
and we need to celebrate ourselves.
All appreciation.
And if angakhuluma nawe, making our tens around the world with shows about Whitney Houston, Michael Jackson himself. Not many people know about that. Normally, people will watch television, and there's nothing wrong about celebrating other people's lives, but then the way TV it's so consumed, it even portrays as if like there's so-called celebrities and artists that are just only singers, and then whom, if maybe they sold certain number of albums, and then having to tour a little bit, but not many people really know which they are authentic people underground who've taught the world, and who even gave classes, from correctional services, from Guma schools, theaters, and traveled the world, and being not just only South African ambassadors, but African ambassadors.
Hey, I know unkhumulile mngalwam. You just got me naked. Yeah, no, that's a huge exposure. To be quite honest, sometimes we are not even, I don't acknowledge some of these things, because for me it's like it was something that I had to fulfill, or something that I had to do, or something that I still do. Yeah, but while having said that, it's important to leave an impact on one's life than to live and watch people do. I don't know if I'm making sense. If you leave an impact, people will say that impact, you've left a mark that people will know you about, than to say a person lived and he died. You understand? Today we can say Vusi have laid a portrait for people to look at, for people to every time pass and look at it. Why? Because of the positive mind he has put himself in. Because of the ideas that he had, he never let them sleep out. Listen, a dream is just a dream if you are still sleeping. But it's a dream when action is put into it. It becomes life when you put action into it. When you live that dream, then you have made a mark. Angazi uyangizwa na.
Mfowethu ngikuzwa kayi-3 mngani wami.
For me to end up having you as a friend, or for our friendship to last this long, it's because there are things that I've noted and you have taken them to consideration. There are things that we've shared, I've taken them to consideration you don't know about. There's a whole lot of things that you've taught me without you knowing that you are teaching me these things. There's a whole lot of impact that you've put in me. There's a whole lot of confidence that you've built in me. Even when I was about to give up on some of the things, Imagine I would come and advise you about something, but at the back of my mind, I have something that is also dragging me down, but you are able to pick me up. You don't know about such things.
Sure.
You understand? So having to talk about me, I would acknowledge some of those things because I don't pay attention to them. Or okay, some of them I might be paying attention, but most of the things that I do, I don't pay attention to them because I think it's my responsibility to do so. I think I'm mandated to do so. I think it's the destiny I have to follow to get to my final roll call. Yeah, but so in that aspect of my life, to accept everything that you've said about me, I don't feel that I deserve that.
So mngani wami yazi mawukhuluma kaso it goes back to having to think ukuthi sikhule kanjani and our environments and the importance yokuthi you surround yourself with what kind of people.
Sure.
And how do you relate with all these people?
Exactly.
Because fast forward so many other things, as much as kunama obstacles where we're coming from, until we get out of those places, not completely really getting out, but having to be exposed.
Watch this. Let me take you 6 years back. 6 years, 5 years back. You had certain friends. You associated with certain friends. And you were close to these people.
7 years back, yeah.
You understand? Very close to these people. And you've built things with these people. Down the line comes friends that are able to open your eyes more. Or that are like, we call them Proverbs friends. Proverbs friends are able to tell you the truth. Proverbs friends are able to give you wisdom nuggets. To say, okay, if you were looking things at this direction, change your eyesight and look at what this side entails. Do you still have those friends? I can assure you 110% you don't.
And I even forget to think about them. And
you see,
I remember, I used to always come to you, and it was for almost 3 years in a row.
Yeah.
And then there was this point you said, my brother, you need to stop to moan. You need to start to take an action. You are pregnant.
Yeah.
And as much as you are pregnant, you can't deliver where you are
exactly
at this current moment.
Yeah.
And maybe the problem is not where you are. Maybe the problem is you. You should just get out of that place.
That zone is not for you.
And then give birth to what you're pregnant with.
There's a system I live with, and that's nature. Nature is like that. If you plant a tree right now, it would need you, the flower, to continue nurturing it. As it grows, there will be a time when it doesn't need you anymore. It feeds itself. So now, you were feeding friends. Let me just call them friends. You were feeding people. And these people, when they go to certain level where they're supposed to feed themselves, they are not. They are still demanding you. And that draws you down. That exhausts your energy. That exhausts you. You are not growing yourself. You see, because you are actually supposed to be eating from that same tree. You are not. Because of these people are continuously eating, consuming you. Where is your growth? Hence, I say, look at things in this eyesight. Things will start unfolding for you. You see? Remember with the plan of the house. When you came, said, no, Mganwam, this is what I have decided. And I was so proud. I was so proud.
It was just a plan.
It was just
a plan.
Remember that?
Yeah, with only 8,000 rand left in the pocket.
In the pocket. Yeah. And I said to you, that's a start. You've taken the stand to say, I'm going that direction. Now I'm moving to an opposite direction. Your peers, Mganwam, your peers were busy at that time buying cars, but while they're still staying at their homes. Buying cars while they don't have a roof over their heads. Buying cars, but they don't have something to fall back on. How do you do that as an individual? How do you, the sad thing or the sad truth about us, the black community, is that we are taught to consume. We are not taught to manufacture. We are not taught to create. You understand? If somebody comes and say, here is 1 million, what would you do with it? I know in your aspect now with the knowledge that you have, what you will do with it. But if I give it to the previous friends I had or the previous friends that you had, what would they do? That is where you see growth of a person. That is where you will be able to evaluate a friendship of a person.
So yeah, wow, that's so mouthful, Mnganwam. Let's go back, ne, and say okay, there's this say a difference between a successful person and not a successful person is how they think and how they act,
how they do.
Yeah. Yeah, well. So what makes one to be transformed and be and being able to carry himself and build things that are sustainable for himself
and
others?
I will tell you this.
What does it take? What one needs to have?
I will tell you this. Change is difficult. And it takes change. You know, everyone's mind is gifted with knowing what they have to do, knowing where they want to see themselves. But the problem is action. The problem is taking a step to change. I can assure you, I still have that problem of change. If I'm comfortable in a certain zone, it's quite a daunting and a difficult situation to say, I want to go out of that situation. I want to go, I literally want to go out. But I can't go out because I'm comfortable. And that makes us what? Idle. We are denying our brain the capacity to do what it's supposed to do. We are denying our brain to work at its peak. Yeah, well, that's basically it. Other than that, there's nothing. It's only one thing for me. Change. If you change your mindset to say, okay, assuming that you want to be an inventor, all the inventors of all these cameras, these mics, lights, and whatnot, you know how many times they failed before they could get the final product? The person who has created these lights, Thomas Edison, although there's a controversy, Thomas Edison took him 10,000 times before he could get the bulb to get the light and the color of the frequency and the color itself to be as it is without blowing. 10,000 times. Let me tell you something worse. His factory burned, laboratory. He burned his laboratory. But he never stopped. He continued. You understand? Ford, same thing. He said to them, he said to his workers, I want you to create a 6-cylinder that could fit into my car. It took them 9 months. And they were telling, those were technicians, saying it's not possible. It's not possible. But why? Because he's the mastermind. He knows what he wants. It was possible. It happened. You understand? Now, if it's you and I that we want to get to a certain destination, why is it so difficult for us to have that mindset to say, let me get to this destination with just a snap? Then I program my mind, I'm going that direction. It takes change. That's why it's difficult.
Mina, when I look at how we grew up, because at the beginning, this is the life that we know. From family household, on how, the certain ways of approaching a life, a certain culture, certain disciplines.
Yeah.
And then you go to the street, also you get a certain inspiration also as well. And then you start to think that Guti life is around that.
Yeah.
You might have, wrong role models. Abu Pras Banbani because of the spinning cars, or maybe Banama cooler box, and then and being chilled, and then with our sisters Abak Randy, and think Guti life it's like that. Or sometimes you think Guti you earn respect by being somebody who's aggressive, but there's a difference between people Guti, they are afraid of you, and or they respect you. And there's a lot of things that we got to be involved in, even though what shaped us is those extramoral activities in finding things that we are passionate about, that are an exchange of what is negative, if you found that.
Remember.
And then later on, indirect, or maybe by luck, one got to be exposed in having other friends from different places. And then you start to get out of your kasi, and then and meet those friends, and then and meet those different people, and then you start to be inspired by other people who are doing what you're doing but better than you, and then you start to go out and look for them. And then that, I think it was a coincident spark, that one got to follow. And then later on, before meeting our late Jackie Smeller, to expose him in the art sector. Because before
exactly,
routine, this is a choreography, or you are a leader of the organization, and this it can be a company, and then you can end up administering or be an artistic director, and being exposed in traveling the world. So for those who are still contained within very same environments and having same people that they see almost every day, what do you think will make them to be exposed in finding themselves?
Okay. Yes, Mganwam, let me, before I even tell you about a brief background of myself. Your community molds who you are, molds you to be who you are, or what you are supposed to be. Why? Because there's different influences that you are getting from your same community. And even your home state itself, your home itself molds you, because they want to give you certain principles. But the minute you go out, you are in the community. And the community has different characters and attitude that you are gaining from them, right? Now, with me, you've mentioned some of these things. I had a very tough upbringing, a very hard upbringing. And I became so violent. If you go today, go home and ask them about me, the only thing that changed their mindset was now seeing me taking kids from the community, teaching them music, teaching them drama, teaching them dance. Remember, at that time, I did not even have a paper to say I'm a qualified instructor, I'm a qualified teacher, I'm a qualified educator. It was a God-given talent. Remember, you and I spoke about a gift and a talent, a difference between a gift and a talent. So these things for me were just a gift. They were not talents. Even if I ran away from them, they are there. You see.
So we should all search for our gifts.
Our gifts. Exactly.
Yeah.
So what I would tell you is that my upbringing molded me to become violent, to become streetwise. The people I associated myself with at that time were people that were even using me, knowing that I have certain qualities that can help them when we go out. Meaning, I would be their protector. I don't drink, I don't smoke, I've never drank, I've never smoked. And I would be in an association of these people who are drinkers, who are smokers. we went to an extent of having taverns paying us protection fee, protecting taverns. Like there would not be a fight in a tavern. Like there would not be anybody that would disrespect the owner of the tavern when we were there. And, that in itself made us feel like, yeah, we are, we are the bosses. The Tony Montanos, we are the big thing. But while you are alone, you tend to think, because you have a certain gift, it keeps on coming back to you. Why am I doing what I'm doing? What is the benefit of what I'm doing? By God's grace, if I can tell you, we were 7. 1 today is a hobo. 1 is me. 5 of them are dead. Dead from what? Because of the lifestyle. Dead from the lifestyle. You understand? So, I could say I'm the only living person who's in his normal senses, who's even able to achieve whatever he wants because of changing my mindset. Yabo? The best thing that one can do is to try by all means, go out, make time to invest in learning from other people. Don't resolve in resorting around the corners of your community. A community can only teach you this much. But once you spread your wings, go out, you will meet our Vusi. You will meet our gifts there. They will teach you how to operate things. They will teach you how to empower your brain. They will teach you how to read new books to equip your level of education. You know what I mean? Because those people are there. It's not that they are rare. It's because we don't want to find them. Period. Yeah, bo.
Yeah, no, ish. Yeah, no. More ringaganje. It reminds me of many things that one got to as totally coincidental.
Yeah.
People that you met coincidental, but I think it's by magic of your life. Law of attraction. They call it law of attraction.
Law of attraction, sure.
Yeah. What if you behave in a certain way? There's a certain karma that you always
are
attract.
drawing to you. Yeah.
And then and there will be people whom you will meet. Who will be sort of like a magic.
Yeah.
Will play a certain magic in your life.
Yeah.
You are also one of them, by the way.
Yeah.
Because I remember when we continued to be devoted in the process of loving the art of Umjaivo.
Sure.
And as we were winning the competitions, and having to later be exposed to FNP Vita Tense Umbrella, which was a contemporary platform. Where you can get into different stages until you get to be commissioned and all that.
Yeah.
When we met all these stages, and I remember Regina Thompson, having to let us know that okay, we received some couple of awards, in the past in the competition, and then now we are commissioned. And I didn't even understand what does it mean to me. Because we were always devoted to the process and being devoted into your gifts.
Sure.
And then the introduction of Ichiki Smela, that's where he came into our lives as a leader. And which I acknowledge a lot of people who are always imparting the skill to the younger ones. And which is why we'll always do that. As much as not that we are already elders, but we are elders to some.
Sure.
Because there's path that we've already walked. And then that we can be able to fast track and sort of like facilitate and contribute towards working in building with them, not just contributing back to the society.
Yeah. Mama Fasana, you know what? I will tell you this. During our conversations, when we started knowing each other, I saw a lot of similarities between you and I. And when I even asked about you, about Dave's and whatnot, they were telling me, oh no, this guy was like this, like, I know, bega glanda, bega kwaza, bega. And I was like, you followed a certain path that it resembles me. You know what I'm saying? And as we started talking or continuously spoke, I could see myself in you. I could see a lot of things in you. Even when you were busy creating something, I would say, and I see this. Yeah, that's what I see. I don't know if you remember those days. There was even a time when you and I were talking about creating our own African
film
movie. Yes.
movie.
And we are, the problem that we have is that we are watching other people. Why can't those people watch us? They are creating what has been created before, but they have made it theirs. If you look at what hip hop is today, you would see what Panzola is in South Africa. If you go back, same as the Panzola itself, you go and see these other traditions or ethnicities, you would see the resemblance of dance moves that resemble a certain culture or language. You understand? And then we spoke about, how the show would start in Glamour, would start in this. You see a person hitting the floor. And we were laughing about it. But till today, I'm still thinking about that thing has to come to life.
Yeah, but the good thing now is that we came into not only realization, because we realized before, and then and later on we acted on building our own platforms. And then we also had to deal with the basic stuff also as well, because of, yes, we would dream and all that, but there's always things that are
coming on the side.
Coming on the side. And then we've got family backgrounds, and then we still have to patch, and then we already made certain mistakes there and there. And then we also spoke about the investments and having to have assets that will take care of our families, while we will concentrate on our crafts, and then look at other investments in building these platforms and researching in the how part, how things work. So now we've got our own cameras.
Exactly.
We've got our own producers, we've got our own editors, and
whatnot.
So now it's time to actually start to do that.
It's coming to life. We agree.
It's coming to life.
We're agreeing. It's coming to life.
It's coming to life.
No. Let's ask the universe to say we are confirming it now. It's coming to life.
Sure.
We will create. Watch the space. We will be creating our own movie. African Storm the Yard. Is it Storm the? Is Storm the Yard? Ne? Yeah. African Storm the Yard. The right one. Not the American version, but the African one. We will be creating the.
Is there anything that you would like to say?
No. You can continue. You can.
You've been involved with my extramural activities, Abaya. I did a bit, but when you were so very deep and even went beyond graduating them. Beyond even graduating them, you were excelling. You understand? Different types of sports, particularly Nabukarate Taekwondo. Maybe you can take us further in depth, and the training that you also went through, and different skills, in the performing arts that you accumulated along the way. And why and how did they go to link up, to each and every one having to follow another one? And why is it important, for us as young people, to be involved in extramural activities as we grow?
No, I think Yawona, this one would need me to give you an essay. I'm writing an essay now. Open your ears.
Okay.
The first time I realized martial arts was in 1986. It should be by now. Hey, I'm sorry, I'm revealing my age. It should be between 35, 36, 37 years. If not, Umundu 86 must be around those ages. Yeah. That's how long I've been doing martial arts. And I started with a style called Taekwondo. And for me to be recognized as Taekwondo today was because I was raised by a granny. I moved to the community I was staying in and moved to a place called Mututu. Stayed with my grandmother. And immediately I was looking for where I could do martial arts. I did another one called Shutokan. I wasn't happy. I did another one called Seishinga. I wasn't happy. I wanted a contact sport until I found another style called Kyakushin Kaikan. And when I entered there, you become an infant when you enter into a space. You have to umamela imithetho yalapho and see how people are doing things. And once they saw things that I was doing, I'm still a supple person. I was kicking so high and doing all these things. And they asked me what style did I do. And I told them Taekwondo. They laughed at me. They said, there's no style that is called Taekwondo. You just came up with a name. And I started getting that name. And indirectly, I had someone who knew that style before. And he was the initial person that called me Taekwondo. But he was shortening it to Tai Kwai. Tai Kwai. Kwai means dangerous. And fusing it with that name of Thai. But I'm Kwai. You see, because he have seen the things that I was doing and whatnot. So I got that name called Taekwondo. So I got to become one of the champs in South Africa. By that time, Kyokushin was one. We have different types of full contact now, different types of Kyokushin. We have separate entities now. But back then, it was one. In South Africa, we had one branch chief. Then we would be doing South African championships at designated provinces every year. So that's when I started excelling. Okay. After excelling in that, at school, I used to play softball. In my area, there was a softball team. They wanted me to be part of it. I became part of softball and I did martial arts. I had no time. I didn't know what to do. I was doing a street soccer. One of the guys saw me playing soccer. He said, I want you to come and play. So I was that type of a person who was doing a lot of things at the go. I was that type of a person. Then, at the same time, I was a reserved person. I wasn't so much of ipapi, Then when I got to high school, I was dancing, but I was not in public. I was not a person that would expose myself with dance. I'm a dancer. Then one of my teachers saw me dancing just around the corner, saw me dancing. He says, no, man, you have a talent. Use this thing when we do a freshers ball. Freshers ball is when we welcome the
students.
The new students, yes, that are joining high school that time. And once they did that, everyone would be going into a big circle. They would show off their skills. That is when I realized that I knew I could dance, but I didn't know to what extent. That is when I realized that, no, there's something good that I'm doing. Because in fact, I did not put myself in that circle. My teacher pushed me. Because of seeing people looking at me, I would think that once I left the stage, they would laugh at me. I started dancing. I danced my lungs out. That was it. No more turning back. From then, everyone wanted to associate themselves with me. Then upapa kuyaqala-ke, because of now I'm seen, Yeah, I'm acknowledged. I started forming 3-4 people as a group. Then people would come in numbers, join us. We would be like 20 of the group. But at the end of the day, they would disappear. I would be left with 4 guys. We continued, gather members. They would disappear, left with 4 members. I ended up calling that group One Big Family. Because why? we were always together. We never left each other. The connotation there is that we said big family, but we were 4. When we had big family as a number of 20, and then they would leave us, we are left as 4. I regarded ourselves as a big number.
Sure.
Hence, one big family. And that time, that's when Mdu released that album, We Are One Big Family, with, I think it's Mashamplan. We are one big family.
Yeah.
That song.
Family.
Yes. Yes. Umteto. That song.
Yeah.
Then we used it as our own song. You know, everywhere where we went, remember, we are one big family. No matter where we go, no matter what we do, we'll always remain as one big family.
Yo, before singing,
So,
okay.
Okay. Like I told you, it's an essay.
Yeah, no. Continue. It's just that when you speak of one big family, you know, already something, you know, comes.
Yes. No, you can interject.
Because I remember one big family, you know, it was a dance crew.
Yes.
Obviously, that you were leading.
Yes.
And fast forward, besides other accolades and then in the competitions that you used to win and all that, né? But I remember Dlala Mapantsula, which was the biggest Mapantsula festival.
Yes.
And then right at the beginning, after they've built it, to theater, and we got an opportunity to curate Spansula.
Yeah.
And one big family, I remember they performed, and the fusion that they brought.
Sure.
You know, they were we always speak about this thing. But when you say you were 4 years ahead, but it's more like 10 years, 15 years ahead, because these very same things that you were presenting during that competition in Dlala Mapantsula is things that are currently taking place now. And that they took place even like 4 years back and then
for sure.
to now. And then you still see them continuing and being fused also as well. And then the approach, you know, a lot of people now, and then they start to take that kind of an approach.
You know what Mganwam, Vusi, there was a time when I watched an VHS. In this VHS, I saw a man presenting an evolution of dance. In evolution of dance, he took it back to black and white. There were people, Aborigines from Australia dancing. And then it grew to classical dance. How people stay in a position of ballet. There's this plie we do in ballet. And then the Aborigines would be dancing like that. Those were things like that they were resembling. And I'm like, so meaning dance came out of those people to now being fused with a certain type of music as a collage. Because back then it was only one drum or 2, maybe 3 drums. And then now there's different bands. So after seeing this, because they took it back then until to breakdance, there was breakdance, and then the most important person they were focusing in was Michael Jackson. And then they said dance evolved from all those classical dances, and it moved to rock and roll, to, you know, there were a lot of dances that they until they ended up with Michael, because Michael was current since they started break dance from funky, what you call funk. They used to call it funk, and at that time it was funk, and moved from funk to break to where Michael was, because Michael took it further. You see, so when Michael dances, it's his own style. Now, that thing stayed in my mind, Mfethu. That thing stayed in my mind, that dance is still going to grow to become something. Dance will become, sooner we'll see people dancing but doing magic on stage. Soon we'll see people levitating, but it's dance. It would be dance. It's an evolution of one thing, but spread out to become different things. Even if it was just Ipanzola that we were dancing or that we are dancing, we have different kinds of Ipanzola. You understand? There's monkey, there's para, there's a lot. But when I saw a gap in my mind to say, if I do this, I would be setting a benchmark. Unfortunately, it was not understood. Unfortunately, it was 4 years beyond. As one, I think it's Mutlati. I forgot his name. Mutlati, something like that. There was one guy who said, he said, you know what? The Pantsula dance you are doing, guys, it's 4 years beyond time. It's 4 years beyond. People will understand it later on because of what we were putting in, the things that we were doing, the way we were looping our music, the way we were looping even our dance move to correlate exactly with the music itself. You understand? The impulses that usually are set when people are dancing and put a stop and stop right on where the music is stopping, moving where the music starts. You see all those things, all those little gimmicks, and creating atmospheres with the same song, with the same music, creating certain atmospheres while we are dancing. 4 years later on, there was another Dalama Pantsula that you guys initiated, that you took part in. I was adjudicating in that. I saw people like that. And one of the judges said to me, I see a group called One Big Family, which he did not know at that time that it was my group. You see what I'm talking about? And for me to bring this to your attention, Michael once said, I don't dance. I create pictures. And you know who taught me that? Fred Astaire. There was a man called Fred Astaire that started the first initial Smooth Criminal. That did the storyline of Smooth Criminal. It was done by this Fred Astaire. The movements that this guy does, he said he's not a dancer. He's only taking pictures. So Michael, when he was doing his movements, he would put the head, throw his hand. That's one segment. Put the head, throw your hand, put your head on your groin, tear, open your legs, down. Then if you put it in one sequence, that would be one movement, and you turn, you open your groin, and you flip again. That's one movement. It becomes a movement. So that's how he used to create his dance moves, by only taking pictures. And he would tell you, take a picture, take a picture, take a picture. And once he's done that, he would combine it and becomes a movement.
Wow. You touched on many things. So these things, they expose Guti a performing arts, or when it comes to choreography, why it's so important to to be informed, to do a proper research and of what you're doing, and then further on what you want to create, and then look at many different elements also as well, and then having a full understanding of which, okay, I'm taking this and shipping it to here. So other people, when they see people performing on stage, they just think, it's just a gift, or it's just a talent. And everyone can jive because of kukhona jive, or kukhona dancer, and also performing as well.
Yes.
These things are as fun. And there's an effort that has been put. When you see somebody performing on stage, and making and making his own presentation on stage, but there's a lot that has been invested, and there's also a training that is also involved, like, because you need to eat properly, you need to understand your body, you need to train.
Yesterday, yesterday, I was telling one of my students, saying it takes 3 months to build a house, but it can take a day or a week to break it. What am I saying? For you to have a performance of 2 hours that you put on stage, a full piece.
So people, they see a performer performing on stage,
sure,
or Rumuntu dancing and doing a presentation on stage, And then they think, umjive, everyone is gifted. Yes, we know that we are black people and we grew up moving and dancing and grooving and all that. But then to take it and elevate it in being an art form, it's something else. There's a training, there's a research that needs to be conducted, a full understanding also of the platforms, because there's different kinds of platforms, obviously.
Just yesterday, I was saying to one of my students, I said to him, it takes about 3 months to build a house, but only a day or a week to break it. To demolish the whole building, it can take a day or a week to break it in pieces. What am I saying with that? I'm saying for you to create a piece of 2 hours, and then you go perform that piece for 2 hours, it will have taken you more than 3 months, 4 months to create that piece. Because there has to be thorough research of what you're putting on stage, thorough training, thorough diet of what you will present. A tour is not created in one day. When you need to be on tour, you must rehearse. We don't play jokes. If I have to go to a tournament to fight, for the whole 2-3 months, I have to go under intensive training, because my opponent is doing the same thing. In his mind, he's saying, I'm preparing myself 10 times better. And then I have to prepare. If I am the champ, I have to prepare myself 20 times better. If he prepares 20 times, 40 times better. So the problem that we are stuck with is we've been put into a certain mirror to say, aye, this one, this one, aye, But the ones that would be taken into consideration, I will tell you what, my friend. Please listen to this. There's a myth, or there's a certain division that I've noticed back then, that there's dancers that are well respected than other dancers. They would say, are you classically trained? What do they mean by that? And then if classically means you have to have studied at a certain institution. Meaning if I have studied with MID, if I've studied with JDF, if you know what I mean? If I've studied with VETS, if I've studied with this National School of the Arts, I'm now recognized as a classical trained person. What about me, you, other people who have started their training kuma communities?
Sorry to cut you. I'm not cutting you. Please hold that thought. I remember, I don't know how many years back, about 12 or so. There was this conference that was held in
SATI,
South African Association of Theatre Industries.
Initiate something like that.
South African Theatre Initiative.
Yes.
Yeah, and they brought that because they were, experts, in the panel, and people who are coming from certain institutions and indirectly also promoting these institutions. And they were encouraging everyone, if you are within the creative arts, you must go and be trained properly and in these institutions. And the record says that, those who never got the proper training, they don't sustain themselves, and then they cannot be able to, to have careers.
Exactly.
That are meaningful, to themselves, and then they cannot even get opportunities, blah, 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 and whatnot. And I remember, you were raising your hand, and while you're coming from the street, and I know you're also an academic also as well, because of you never just only did the research. You've been in these institutions also as well. And you've worked with all these big directors and big, classical ballet directors and contemporary and whatnot.
I'll tell you the truth now. I only went to school just to have a qualifications.
Yeah. So I was like, Taekwondo is totally now against, and even people, who
exactly,
are like, we thought that we are together, and then all of a sudden it's on the other side. And then I raised my hand also as well. And then I was like, hey, do you know that there is a community group, that grew up in the township, and then that was trained, from the, community spaces,
Sure.
backyards, and then in the art centers and other alternative spaces, that today they are South African ambassadors and further being African ambassadors.
Yeah.
And we've taught so many countries
Yes.
and many continents around the world, representing it genuinely proudly, something that belongs in our backyard that has
Yes.
been ever ignored. They said, "Oh, who are those people?" I said, "It's us." I remember. I said, "It's us."
You are bringing this thing. I remember it, Mavusan. You even said there was 13 years back. 13 years back. 13 years back, precisely.
Sure.
You said, do you know that with the pansula that I'm doing, that you are undermining, I've already taught so many countries.
Yes.
Remember that time?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. I remember you even added and said, do you know the pansula that you are undermining? Me, as part of that, I've taught a lot of countries with that. So that goes to show you that, if we are to break away from the sense of who's qualified, who's not qualified, we are talking about people's gifts here. And I remember I even said it. I said, if I am gifted, am I still required to go to these institutions? And then there was one person that says, yes, you must go to institutions. What was the reason behind that till today? You tell me, I don't know. Unfortunately, by that time, I had already qualified. So I'm just saying that, we should break away from the system of dividing people, dividing arts. Because arts, how do you go and learn Ispanzola at a higher institution? Tell me. If you know, tell me. How do you go and learn Ispanzola at a higher institution?
Go to the ground.
You have to go back to the ground.
Go to the ground, because this Ispanzola, it's a creative human expression.
How do you go
it's
to
life
our
itself.
How do you go to our communities learn ukudansa isitsonga, ukudansa indlamu? Which institution, a higher institution, offers that?
Go to
Hostela laphayana, you'll see people who are dancing.
Exactly. Yes, where authentic people, where they coming from, Emakaya, it's like Emma Hostela.
So we shouldn't, and that for me, you know what it says? It says we are erasing who we are and acknowledging our ballet, our contemporary. Okay, contemporary, it can be
African. It's also contemporary.
Yes, but all I'm saying is,
but
in higher institutions,
yes,
these things that are there, like the taps, like the ballet, they are foreign. They're not South African. They're foreign.
Yeah.
And those are things that we are mandated to learn when you go to higher institutions. What are you saying about our cultural dances?
And then when you start to travel now, you tour the world. And then this very same art approach, and then are they mastering it? And then our people, they don't have a place to compete. It's quite challenging for them until they are unique and they are themselves. And then that's where they get it.
Let me ask you a question, Mavzan. How many foreign nationals, let me just be specific, Europeans, how many Europeans have you workshopped in Spanzola and they are excelling at it?
Sure.
To cut the story short, let me answer it for you. I know a ton. I know a ton of people that you've taught Ispanzola.
A lot.
I know a number of people that have been workshopped by Uzilo. Panzola dancers that are white. And then once you put them here, they can dance even better than our South African peers.
And people are
even the ones that are even in ballet classes. You understand what I'm saying? Because of the streetwise that I have been when I'm upset, why wasn't I failing any audition that I went to? You give me any style, I do it now.
Because the spansula is one of the most complicated
Complicated thing ever.
Yeah, because it's spansula. Let's unfold it. Why it's so complicated,
Bruce?
You know.
The listen. There's this thing called isolations when it comes to dance, and isolations doesn't come from the hands or the body or the legs. It comes from the brain. Anything that you have to initiate from your hands, it starts here. So meaning the fastest thinkers in the world are Panzula dancers.
And one of the reasons because of Kumbula Ispansula was born under it's a way of apartheid. It's a worm. Exactly. It was born under the oppression.
Exactly.
And it's a survival. It's a life. It's a life.
Yes. For us to even have this
and dance is just an element
of it, of expression. You see,
so the dance, it unpacks the thinking, the environment, the behavior,
exactly,
and all that. Itself, so you find all of them in those movements.
Just to unfold it, and how would I know that Vusi is coming from via K?
There's a signature.
Yeah. Dress code.
There's a signature. Approach.
There's a dance approach. Yes.
Yeah, and it's inspired by a certain environment.
Exactly. You see, so hence we are saying Panzula, it's for people who knew oppression and knew how to express it. They knew oppression and knew how to express oppression by making sure that they perform it. They speak the language. There was even a language that was created. You would not even hear Abu Vusi talking because they've created their own language. Panzola language. Same applies to gumboots.
Yeah.
The mine workers had their own language. They were trying to compensate for these oppressors to to hear them. Yeah. But the most important one was I don't know what white people call it, but was a slap. They call it a slap. If we are underground,
that is why gumboots. Because of it's white people who said gumboots, because it's a Wellington boot.
Exactly.
That is made out of a gum. But idadla is the word, because the slapping is a dadla. It's
remember it had different languages because of there were different
tribes,
companies, what you call hostels.
Yeah, hostels.
Yes,
coming from
different aspects.
Yeah.
So the first mine workers were the Tswanas. The Tswanas are I don't know if you know that history, that side of that history, but the first people who came with an idea of gumboots,
which is coming from the parties, because it makes sense, because
exactly.
It's them who are always
it was coming from Patisi was a dance in itself, creating rhythm with the skin of a sheep, and that would create vibrant sounds. Now they created a language out of it when they were underground. If someone was stuck underground and then they are starting to count people, they would be slapping their boots to hear if there's someone there. And that thing, if we are following each other, if I slap it, you slap, it creates a rhythm.
Echo.
People are clapping until it gets there to the last person. So it means the number that we hear, everyone is there, so we can go up. And for them, some of them who were stealing diamonds would again give certain slap, to speak, to say, I found it. I'm going to hide it somewhere. You understand? So then there was that language, because they were strip searched. They will strip search them.
So we still have a long way to go, because as much as we've already started writing some of the books, and then we need to continue to write, and then and give seminars, and then also invite our elders and other people who are also experts in other fields,
sure,
and having an understanding of these histories. because they are still a gift in the creative sector globally.
Yeah, for sure.
Hence why I always encourage our own people to be authentic, to be us. It's good to research, it's good to get all these trainings, but at the end of the day, we still have a gold that hasn't yet been discovered.
Exactly.
Diamond commodities that hasn't yet been discovered. Because I always say in Spansula also as well, a theater hasn't discovered Spansula yet. We still have,
I haven't seen it.
Yeah,
I haven't seen it.
We still have to go through different many approaches that even the theater uses, the science of the theater uses, but breaking it ngendlela yethu, it's still a lot.
2006 was the first year, even in the history of performing arts in South Africa. I need somebody who can prove me wrong. I was the first person to take Itswana dance overseas in our show. Every year, we would be taking Zulu dance overseas, but we've never taken Changan. We've never taken, it's Tsonga. We've never took it to overseas. I know for a fact that there might have been other people that have that might have taken it there. But it's one, they've never been. I took 2006, I remember. The problem with that was that we commercialized it too much because I was compensating for people that can't move the same way as Tswana dancers or Tswana dance. They couldn't get, and then we had a short time to prepare the show. Now, to workshop it to a pub, I couldn't do to get it to that point. Then they were just flowing. Apart from there, what am I saying? I'm saying there's a lot of talent that hasn't been unleashed in South Africa. You guys have tried to expose Ispanzola overseas, but I can assure you it's not enough.
No, it's not enough.
It's not enough. I've seen B-boys in Korea who are doing Panzola.
Yes.
And I know for a fact that they must have learned that from you guys in Just the Boo or in France.
Because we, like you said before, we've done so many rounds for the past 20 years.
You see? So, in a way,
exporting is Panzola.
Yeah. So, in a way, if we need to make sure that Ispanzola grows from where it is to where we want to see it, we need to make sure that the institutions that have been imposed to us in South Africa are taken there to them. We need people like, I will give you a typical example. Vincent Manzwe is in France, right?
Yes.
And he's
so
doing
many
this
years now.
Exactly. It's more than 20 years now.
Or something, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's in Toulon, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, if he has done it to make sure that he takes his dance style and put it in their face, what defeats us? What is there that is defeating us here? We can take this dance and take it to US. You know, when I was in US, I remember it was Colorado. I was in Colorado. And we were in one of these nightclubs. They were playing hip hop, one way hip hop. And I went to the DJ. I said, please, can you play this stick, USB? And then he took it in. I told him where I was from. And I said, no, I'm a South African. I just want to show off one or two of the skills. You know me. I got in there. Well, everyone was like, what the hell is going on now? What is that? And when I started climbing, there was a section where it was like a stage. I climbed the stage. I gave them Ispanzol. I gave them horror. Broke my ankles. There's a dance that I call horror. I broke my ankles. I danced. And once I left and sat down, everyone was like, we want you to come and teach us. That environment, they were saying it's it's for dancers. It's an environment of dancers. It's a place where dancers usually meet.
Yeah, it happens a lot also in Europe. You find go to these nightclubs,
Yeah.
not people that they're going there for booze,
Yes.
but they're also using it as a platform to practice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
Exactly.
they have to
Exactly.
book
Yes.
studios and all that.
Yeah.
In most cases, the dancers they meet in the nightclubs.
Yeah.
Because I also most of my other underground relationships I got them from the nightclubs.
Yes. Yeah.
Hence why sometimes not only you will have to wait for the theater programming and co-productions from the theaters and whatnot. So I would always, fly and have a partnership on the ground with the guys. So we share my workshops, and then they would do the marketing, and they will find a studio, and then we'll do those kinds of exchange.
Yeah.
Exchange programs, and then later would build smaller nyana shows besides the bigger ones that we don't do. So the nightclub scene, not like here now, because you get into the nightclubs, people are wearing all of them like full white,
Yeah.
and then they just chilling with their girlfriends, and then showing off. If you start to really dance on the floor, it's like
What's
magic,
going on?
what's
Yeah.
going on, man?
Yeah.
And then when it's funny, I see you even at church.
Yeah.
In
I
your
wanted
church,
to get to that.
in your church,
Yeah.
you do your ballet, you
Yeah.
do your Afrofusion, you do your spansula, your gamboots, and all that.
Yeah. I wanted to get into that because I was feeling like, we as especially Pantolas, we have limited ourselves. We have limited our talent. And I'm saying, how come we are able to express ourselves? Kuzo lama taverns. Kuzo lama taverns, we are able to express them and dance like our lung sound. Dance to a point where you are wet. Papnat.
Yes.
Get it?
Yeah.
But for me, it would be a taboo to be seen dancing the way I'm dancing in church. Why is that? We have created a certain normality, or what do you call it? We have created a norm that, in church, we are supposed to be holier than thou. When I know myself that I'm an expressive person, if there's a demon inside, let it go out.
Yeah, you get to be ecstatic. You get to be yourself.
I know you know.
Yeah,
you
get
understand?
to be yourself.
Yeah.
You forget to go to you've got
Who's
your
saying
challenges,
what and
or
what?
you have a wife, or you have kids and whatnot, or you have financial challenges. You get to be yourself when
once
you're in
I
that
climb
mood.
that pulpit, that's every time when I say it. I say, I explicitly say it. I said, guys, you are watching me dance and you are not dancing. I'm collecting your blessings. You don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I tell them that. That's what I tell them. Guys, I'm collecting your blessings. If you are not aware, I'm here to drain all my sorrows. I have challenges like you. It's not that when you see me here, I've came to celebrate my God. Whatever circumstances and situations that I'm going through, I'm living here. I'm living them with my sweat. I'm living it here. Once we live here, I know in my soul that I've left my burdens here. Nina, you are behaving holier than my friend. I wish you could be there one of the days and hear me saying it to them.
My friend, what do you say to those people who still look up to things that are coming from outside? We're not saying we shouldn't be inspired, and ignoring things that I always say they belong in our backyards. What for an example, so many people think Uguti Spansula is associated, especially our things, not only Spansula, but I'll always speak as the Pansula, because I'm uh, that's how I identify myself, because it links me back to where we're coming from as people, and then it links me back to my culture, and then and it's what I'm making a living out of. And I see most of life yami ngelihlo lespansul. But when we grow up, and even now, people, they still think isn't that
You used to
that
do.
are us,
Mm.
that are us. Maybe it's things that belongs to illiterate people, or things, that are not meant to be in certain platforms, or maybe it's not even an art form. Into yabo tsotsi.
I would break that in two
Yeah.
pieces. Mngani. One, remember what I said, that your community molds you. And what you are left with when they saw you growing up, usually people would paint you with that brush. Criminal. You see, they would paint you with your previous lifestyle. Some of them would remind you of who you were. Some of them would be proud of who you are. Number two, it's a fact that once you have broken away from this system, number two, ispantola is associated with filth, ukungcola, dirty, associated with crime, associated with drugs, baya bema, baya, you know, understand?
They associate it with.
Yes, they associate it with that.
Yes.
And now, when you are wearing ispantola, you are regarded, or you are painted with the same brush. I would give you one of the celebrities who is a pantsula person, because I don't actually regard myself, and I don't regard myself as a celebrity. Eugene from Trumpis, if you know him, he's a lawyer. A lawyer, a pantsula. You understand? So being a pantsula doesn't limit you to be who you want to be. Being a pantsula doesn't mean that you are a criminal. Doesn't mean, it's a culture, it's a lifestyle, it's who you are, but it doesn't frame you and put you in a certain basket. I am a pantsula. You, Mavusana, you are a pantsula. But look at your achievements. And through what? Through having the same mindset and the sentiments as a pantsula, we have shared these sentiments. You understand? There are people who are not even pantsulas. I've taught with them. But when we are overseas, they would behave in certain ways and overspend their money and do careless things with their money. And what would I be doing? I would be taking my money, put it in the savings, use money that I need for that period. And when I come back home, I do what my money has to send me for. I don't go around bragging and being pompous and saying, this is who I am, look at me, dressing up. I don't do these things. Even today, you can't see me wearing an expensive label. No.
You the consciousness, and
exactly.
then knowing his background, and then knowing the
I know
that
where I come from.
Close.
I know where I've been. I know where I am.
Like our
I
uncles,
know where I'm going.
Like our uncles, I was raised by an uncle. I'm not promoting crime and whatnot,
yes.
but it was their situation way back then.
Yes.
Because they saw that they could not be wealthy, during apartheid times.
Yes.
Even how hard you can work, you will always, work for security. You never, have.
You would save. You will always save.
Never have even a financial freedom. Even, the education that we got to access now, about financial literacy and all that.
Yeah.
Bona, they believed in repossessing. They would go to those who stole our wealth, and then they would bring it back, and then they would start to build their businesses.
I like the word you are using.
So we had the same approach. When we went overseas, we knew that, okay, our talent are in demand. Yes. Our gifts are in demand.
Yes.
However, we won't take the money that we got from that side, and then spend it over there.
Yes. You are repossessing.
We knew that, we have to repossess and bring it back home.
Exactly. Yeah.
And then at home, but build stuff that are sustainable.
Question is, how many people out of those that have that mindset, Mavusan? You understand? Because it's only few people. I mean, majority of the people that I taught with, they would overspend, bruh. Let me tell you a scenario that was bad. We were in Venlo, in Dortmund, in Holland. In Dortmund, The next day, we were doing our last show that day. The next day, we were coming back to South Africa. And that day, I was supposed to fly over to States. I was supposed to go to States for Michael Jackson. And I left the day before. I requested to leave the show on my last day before the show and came back home. Look at what happened. I've been telling these people to stop overspending. Who am I to tell them how to use their money? Okay? I came back home. As I came back home, I heard stories that people were throwing their clothes because they overbought. When they put their bags on the scale, they need 23.5 and then one carry 7. So the clothes they bought, they had to leave the rest behind.
What I've experienced that with a lot of people who travel.
That's carelessness. That's not thinking, bruh. You don't think. And if somebody comes to you telling you that, make sure that money works for you. This money, it's after all, it's illusion. I've said it. It's an illusion. Until it buys something for you, that thing, that is the only thing that is tangible. The thing that you have bought with the money. You understand? Hence, money is currency. It's currency. Currency means it's fire. It's electricity. It has to move. If it doesn't move, you won't receive it. You won't get, if you don't take it out to bring something back, it won't rotate. That's how electricity is it's done. You understand?
Yeah, ish, because you know what I also think why we behave in that way, and I'm not condoning it, because yes, spices. Yeah, spices. It's also going back to how we were raised. Our upbringing.
Yeah.
It was more of that people work for money and then they have to spend it.
Yeah.
And then people wanted to gain a certain confidence because of they wear certain clothes.
Ish.
Because they need to be admired.
Ish.
Because they want to go out. And people, when they start to work for you, for people to recognize you that now there's a cent that is getting inside your pocket, you had to show off. You know, hence why the inheritance, also a little inheritance that, you know, those who were fortunate that they had parents who were working, and then they left some small change, and then they would just overspend it.
Let me tell you
how important is it, you know, for us as creatives, you know, in the creative sector, also as people, importance of having to understand the financial literacy.
Thank you so much that you will go in that direction. Let me tell you this. The rich will continue being rich, and then the poor will continue to be poor. Why? Because the rich know what they have to do for money to serve them. The rich want money to serve them. The poor want money to come into their pocket. The poor wants to take money and use it. Mavusana, if you are brought up in a space where you only consume, you get, you buy, you get, you buy, you get, you buy, you will continue doing that. And it's a generational curse. You continue doing the same thing. But if you change your mindset in making sure when you get, you commit into another business. You get, you commit into another source of income. That's how electricity moves. You understand? So if we go back again, you spoke about upbringing. If we go back to that, look at it. Our parents only worked for income. They never worked to create. So if we go back and learn how to work in creating than to learn to work in getting a salary, SALARY, salary. Something always low and reduces you. All the time you get reduced. So we have to go back to our fellow artists and tell them that we should never work for money. Work for creating business. The business will bring money. You understand? Whatever that is a talent to you, Bible says, let a talent of a man make wealth for him. Your talent, although the Bible says talent means money, but I am saying talents, it's what you offer. It's what you have, what you give out. Money, it's also a talent because you give out to gain something back. Talent, you give it out to your audience so you can receive it back. You are offering a service to these people, and in return, they have to pay you for it. So if we go back and teach our fellow artists that we don't have anything to fall back on, guys. Let's create a way in which we would create something to fall back on. Wasn't I the one that spoke to you more than, was it 10 years back? When I said to you, Mavusana, as an artist, brother, have something to fall back on, because you will go there, have that money, and then within a wink of an eye, it's gone, because it has to serve your daily living. It has to serve your children. It has to serve everyone who revolves around you. But how long? What if, God forbid, you break your leg when you are there? You come back with that money. And what next? And that leg is the one that is offering a service. What next?
And you never even invested in the knowledge.
You never even had an investment.
You can't even direct or conceptualize, or you don't even have.
Hence, I'm saying consumers. Consumer. You are still, if you are still performing and you don't have any other thing that is supporting you with the money that you are getting, you are still a consumer. You are still a consumer.
You'll always complain.
You always whine, mama, and have all these things.
You'll always demand that you are the most talented person, and then you should be deserving to earn 1, 2, 3, 4,
Doesn't
5.
that ring a bell?
And then when you have to create, and then now your soul is no more there because of this is life, creative. Not even the sector, but being a creative.
Yeah.
It's art.
Yeah.
Itself, and then it arts your life.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now, if we've got all these, depressions and desperations and whatnot, you would not be able to be devoted to the process that will bring all the gifts that comes along being present and being happy while you are building something.
Mavsana, I will tell you that even with the team, the crew that you have, people that you are working with, I would still want you to continue imparting to what you and I have shared before. That let it not be that everyone who comes in your space comes to take. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying.
I understand.
Coming to take is that they are coming to work. They are coming to work. They will get paid and then they will go. I don't want to associate myself with such people in my life. I need people that will come and be part of my vision. I need people that will see tomorrow paying, but not today. And even when that tomorrow comes, they will have seen the fruits, but that tomorrow again, we will start to see another vision. We see another vision that will pay us when? Tomorrow. Do you hear what I'm saying?
You know how we also work here, as much as we've got our Ketsi, our Gifty, our Kosbak, and other guys who are around the space, and young sisters. Because we've graduated from that system where everyone should be under somebody. Because we know, for an example, we've got community groups. and then they have one leader, and that leader himself here now is not even exposed in other levels. You find people already, they are over 21, 22, they are breadwinners at home, but they're stuck with the very same community, so-called. Even in the companies, it still serves the same. And in the companies also, people, they don't even understand the value chain or of how this company gets to survive. And they can't even predict if things will fall. Yeah, so here it's all about creative entrepreneurs. Everyone who comes into the space accesses the space, accesses resources that are around the space, but everyone must have his own expertise to contribute towards each other. But we encourage each and everyone to build his legacy, his company, and it becomes a department to each and everyone's company.
Yeah.
When it comes to Impilo Mapansula, it's not just a company, but it's also a movement where we invite different Mapansula and pull resources together. And then after earning, we always encourage to have a stock fairs. But it depends to a person, because some of the things you cannot control beyond. And then in that stock fair, if you want to build something, and then we go on tour, and then we know this time the 10 goes to this one, we contribute certain amounts, or we cut from our salaries, we contribute towards this one. If you want to build your own mini studio or whatnot. Hence why Guimpilo Mapansula, we also invested in the plot, a land where we can do agriculture or build a center of excellence, or we still have to brainstorm further what is it that we want to do, and also encourage individuals when they have smaller incomes to save, but not saving only, but saving to invest. Because you can save, but the value of the currency, it always
you would get
descends.
0.4%.
Yeah, it
but
always descends.
if you invest into something tangible, the fruits thereof might be one digit or
I
two
remember
digit.
you advised me many years ago with the space that I had,
Sure.
which was a smaller Nyana house, but with a huge yard, which today it has got 13 and a half rooms.
Yes.
I've got 13 tenants.
Yes,
there.
yes.
Because it's a smaller Nyana economy around the cars and spaces that sometimes you can be able to afford.
Yes.
And the freedom that I got out of having to be able to be practical in that space, because it takes care of some basic needs.
Exactly. Yes.
Water, petrol for the car.
That is what we call falling back, and having something to fall back on. That is exactly.
So now you are free to dream. You are free to have some small incomes and revenues, and reinvest in other people, and also reinvest in building other assets, and having time and patient, and be patient to build the next, instead of being frustrated and always fighting these directors, fighting these producers, fighting whoever, or agents and whatnot.
I want to ask you a question, Mgano. My question is based on how to create wealth. But I want to take it this way before creating wealth. I want to ask you, have you ever seen 1 million with your eyes?
No.
Have you ever seen 500,000 with your eyes?
Yes.
Okay.
But literally. Literally.
Not in the account.
No, literally. Because there were times where we would go on tours, and then we throw the money from so-called what you call these old accounts that we used to use, a club account. And then you coming on a huge tour, and then you throw, those were mistakes, and then you throw money from a club accounts, and then you give to people 940,000 935,000.
No, besides that time, our transactions were not easy to be done, to transfer money into the accounts.
And then you'll make a notice and
no, all I'm saying is,
so now yes, we've seen that money, but not tangible. It's
what I'm
in
saying,
assets, it's in this, and then when you evaluate things and whatnot. But I've never
seen hold that money like
this. Okay. And then even if I would have that money in the bank, I'll quickly take it away from the bank and invest it in an asset. I'll never allow that those digits to always
The
stay.
reason I'm saying what I'm saying is bank doesn't have money.
Yeah.
Remember I said money is illusion. Bank doesn't have money.
It moves around. That's why they will encourage you to say, hey, invest for a longer period.
Yes.
Because they want to take your money, and then there are guarantees that you keep this money for this longer period. And then you'll be charged if you take it.
Exactly. Upfront. Yeah.
And then they'll take this money and then and reinvest it.
What they need to do is that they would take it from Taekwondo.
Yes.
And they give it to Vusi.
Yes. Yeah.
After the notice, after you've given the notice.
Yes.
So basically what I'm saying here is that money, it doesn't exist. If you hear me with the spiritual money doesn't exist.
No, it doesn't.
But assets are tangible.
Yes.
So if you learn to buy assets with an illusion, that is the reason I can go to the bank and tell them that I want to buy a house even if I don't have money. And then what do they do? What do they look at?
They check your
assets. They look at assets. Those are other things on the side. They look at collateral. They look at your assets. What is that they can take from you if you don't have? You see? So if you have assets, you have value. If you have paper, for me, you just blowing a hot air if you tell me you have money. You understand? If you tell me that you have a car, you are not saying anything to me. But tell me that you have land.
If that car brings a revenue,
money or
still
it's debatable because that
but
money,
in most
even
cases,
if it can be tracked.
I fully understand you when you're talking of cars because of our environment, where we're coming from, and why people just buy cars. And not those who are doing smart moves and using maybe a car, to be an asset,
do a business and what I'm saying. I still want to tell you now that even that truck, horse and trailer that collects things, take it from them and bring it here, is still a liability. You know why? Once it breaks, it will take the whole money that you have worked for coming from Devon, bringing it here. Did it bring or did it take?
And unless there's a plan for that truck, that it always puts money aside, or it pays a certain insurance for that, and then having certain access fees if it breaks, and then so that it can be fixed. And while it gives a revenue, and then towards building something else, and while it's paying itself, if we took it via credit.
I want to make two examples that you will understand what I'm saying.
Yes.
It's two ways. It can make money, it cannot make money. There are possibilities, and which are what? Vast. There's a thing called accident. Accident is anything. Now, there is nothing that can happen as an accident except from floods, from lightning, from on land. Land will always stay there. Land, it's a huge investment. Now, your property, this property, I'm asking you a question. Is it an asset or is it a liability?
This property is an asset.
It's an asset, right?
Yeah.
Why do you say it's an asset?
Okay, it number one, it grows in value. Number two, it injects life and the revenue to other people.
It creates business.
Yes, it creates business and
period
to others and myself.
Now, here is the front opposite, the house front opposite you. Is that house a liability or an asset?
I don't want to comment about that house because I'm not staying in.
Okay, let me make an example.
But I'll assume that it's a liability.
It's a liability.
Yeah, I assume that it's a liability. Probably maybe he's still owing the bank, and then he's still paying
even
it.
If owing the bank, you can owe the bank.
Yeah, and he's still paying it, but it doesn't inject any income. But instead, it takes money from his pocket.
These are two different things.
So it always takes money from his pocket.
If you can have the same property, if a property you are staying in is not giving you revenue. It's a liability.
Yeah.
Regardless of it being a land, regardless of it being a big house, a double story, 10 stories, if it doesn't return anything to you every month, you are paying utilities, you are paying electricity consumptions, you are paying bond, you are paying your school fees, tuitions. That money has to come from the asset itself. You see,
even if the value of the property doesn't rise, but if it injects something,
yes,
it's always gonna be an
you
asset.
understand? Yes, it's a bonus if you don't even own the house. If you bought land and you started afresh like you did, you don't owe, and the only thing that you would be paying is that thing.
But
it's a business.
But still, if I'm paying that water and electricity, if it takes money from my pocket without injecting anything,
it's still a liability. It's still a liability. But if there's something that comes out, or if you see something ahead that this would give us returns of this much ahead, that is still, unless if that plan fails. You understand what I'm saying? So same applies to this horse and trailers. There are horse and trailers that you would think that they are doing a good job. You are paying insurance. You are losing your insurance if you don't claim. If it breaks, they can only cover you 3,000-4,000, and then the rest you have to pay for yourself. Transport, it's good, but it's not good unless if you have them in mass. Yes, sure. Those are some of the education.
When we get deeper,
we get there. We'll get there. Yeah. But I would want to advise most of the artists to invest more. Nina Emakaya, you should invest more into learning the skill of owning land, of owning property. It's important. And also for our creatives to understand the value chain of the industry itself. Exactly. Or the sector itself. Yes. So that they understand how these platforms were built. And also these so-called institutions that always invites us to come to them, and so that we can be recognized by other institutions that are linked to them, who will give you awards and and that they also have limited time. Yes. You know, and also they have limits when it comes to opportunities also as well. And why is it important that we understand on how to build our own platforms? Not really everyone is an entrepreneur, but it's quite very important that if you are a creative, to be exposed in all these things. I'm saying regardless of you not having a mindset of an entrepreneur, have something to fall back on. Mina, I've never limited myself. I've went into trying to run a casting agency. I've choreographed advertised ads. I've done stills. I've done a lot of things. I've performed. I've created. I've choreographed and created a show. You understood the value chain. You understood that there are these platforms. Exactly. And how they get to be built. There are some. And you find from yourself that I have an interest in also doing this. Because if we understand all these options, we are able to have a choice. But if we don't recognize, there's nothing that will relate to. And then the only thing that will relate to is that we are just performers. Exactly. Mina, what took me to school? It's fruits and vegetables. I sold fruits and vegetables to get somewhere. Not that you wanted to build a big business of fruits and vegetables. My eyesight was going somewhere. I remember meeting someone when I newly bought my property, the one that we are staying in currently. And not the ones not the other ones, but the one I'm currently in. When I newly bought it, I took some few people to come and see. Artists. I brought in artists to come and see what I've done with my life. And they were like shocked. Big lands like this. You remember how my house was before I built even there at the back. And I was showing them. They said, "Partner, what are you going to do with this big yard?" I said, "Guys, I see 10 years to come." And I even told you. And 10 years later, I said there were two things. It was either I was going to build that big what am I saying? There were people that you sent to me to draft me me a plan of what? Studio. Remember? That land was supposed to be building a studio or cottages. Get it?
Yeah.
But looking at the logistics, I ended up vying for cottages. Now, what am I saying? I'm saying when you create different streams of bringing money, you don't need to be an entrepreneur to understand that creating streams of... You understand?
Yeah, it should come naturally. For an example, Tina last our grannies. We had tenants, like
Wait, before I forget where I'm going.
Yeah.
I'm saying it shouldn't take you an entrepreneurial mindset to create such opportunities for yourself. I am saying after I've brought everyone to come and see.
Okay,
Yeah, after I've brought everyone to come and see, they were asking me those questions. What are you going to do with this? And I told them, no, my intentions are this. I remember it clear. One of the now it's my another gym. It's another gym in my yard. There's one of the cottages that I'm using it as a home gym. I was using it to create business there. Selling what? Archer.
I remember. I remember.
I was selling archer.
Yeah.
I was selling archer, mixing archer there.
Yeah.
And I would drive to Alexander. My friend.
And people will say, is this one that you see him on
is
television?
This the one we were seeing on TV?
Yeah. Look at them, celebrity. They are poor, like, look at them. They're selling archer. Look at now what DJ Sfu is doing. He's selling. He was selling on the streets.
You see what I'm talking about?
That's how Imofire,
grew up, isn't it? I said, guys, if you knew my mindset, this archer you are talking about, do you know the ingredients that needs to go into this archer? Tomorrow, I want to see myself owning those things that I'm supposed to be, putting in this archer. I want to see myself owning Mengu farm. You don't see where I'm going. You don't see me owning an oil company. You don't see me owning a spice company. So that is where I'm seeing myself. You are not seeing it. You are only seeing my strive. Sure. Tomorrow you want to celebrate with me.
When you have a dream, an idea, and a desire with a belief, and on top of it with an action.
Yes.
Yes, you can make my wonders. I remember when I left, my other, it was an organization later, a company, and a big touring international Mapansula company, which I'm not shy to announce it, yes. And then when I left Ivakatlo, which is a decision that you helped me to take, I was always consulting with you.
Sure.
And then and some people were like, you can't wake up in the morning and say this arm, and say this arm doesn't belong to me.
Yeah.
I knew that I was pregnant.
Yeah.
And the power, of having to do things, and also when I left television, you remember?
Yeah, I remember that time.
So now we're starting our own television channels, but indirect now, and then now we were tired of our art centers and alternative spaces. Now we started to build our own studios,
own environments.
In our own environments, and then now we've got lands where we would build our own studios and and whatnot. And then we re-established again to work with many different people, because I always wanted to work with many different pansulas, and it's happening. And then I wanted to work with young creatives, because we always believed in a young creative leadership.
No, you're working with fresh blood. It's been a long lost dream, Mafusan. I remember you were talking about it a lot of times, saying, I need to have, guys that are so keen to work with me, and I want them to expose themselves. I want to, all
and
those
now
things.
I'm communicating my classwork English in my own platform.
Yeah, but honestly, basically, Mafusan, creating different streams and allowing your dream to be practical. It's what you need for an artist to survive.
Sure.
Mina, I am where I am because of not letting anybody to say you can't. I was always asking myself, how can I?
Yeah, when you always revived yourself. There was a time where you went back to school and
exactly.
then you did mathematics, and then
same applies to you.
You did nutrition. Yes. I also went to school also again, and then you went back to karate. And then now you retained your black belt again, and then now you also a master again, and then you went back to church, and then later on you were ordained.
Yeah, and with that one, Mavsan, it took me a long time to accept, and I couldn't, because you know, because of my lifestyle, I don't want to be limited in expression, limited in how I should be carrying myself, limited, because now there's this picture that the society has portrayed, that if you are a pastor, you have to carry yourself in certain stature.
Sure.
You have to behave in certain manner. But I'm not that type of a person. I want people to know the truth. And also, I don't want to change my lifestyle. I don't, the bad side, of course, yes, I need to change, because I now have to set an example. But I cannot afford to be limited to other things like expressing myself. Hence, one of them is dancing. Where have you seen a pastor that dances? Where? Because now, now you have to be rigid and behave like you know. I can't. I cannot.
Suck.
I know. I go down.
And
go down.
You're not just only sucking like the other pastors. We are panting.
So the problem that I was stuck with in my mind was that thing, Mavusani Uguti. I cannot accept this ordination because of how pastors are portrayed, and I can't live like them. And there's a lot of discrepancies and conspiracies within the Christianity fraternity. So, in my own way, I want people to know the truth. I want people to see that, to acknowledge that there's some things that are wrong, that Christians are doing. And then now, like I'll give you a typical example. When a Christian person, as a pastor, will tell you that we don't do lobola. We want you to get married the right way. Which one is the right way? I don't know if you have heard about this, but I'm telling you things that I've experienced, that I've seen, that they are acknowledging.
So there's a right and the wrong.
Yes, listen to this, to do a traditional wedding in Pentecostal churches, they are saying it's wrong. You have to do a white wedding. Question is, isn't a white wedding an English tradition? Isn't it a tradition? It's a tradition. You understand? If I do a traditional wedding, I'm actually doing the right thing, because it's my culture. And now I've been put in a space where, like, I should do away with my culture and accept someone's culture. And it's recognized when it's like that. As a pastor, I cannot accept that. Do you get what I'm saying? It's not only that. There are other things churches do. They will tell you that the Bible says we should stop sacrificing. We don't sacrifice. We don't kill animals and call God in his names and whatnot. But there are Pentecostal churches. They are saying, bring something and offer it to God. So when it's killed, we pray over it. We sacrifice it in prayer. I'm a Christian. I'm telling you things that I know this would raise a huge debate. But if you go back, if you know what the Bible says, it will tell you that. And then when Jesus came, he said he did not come to destroy the laws of Moses.
Yes.
but to fulfill. And people misinterpret this thing. To fulfill, what did it mean? People are failing to understand it. But it's a subject for another day. You understand? So those are things that made me to withdraw. You understand? I've asked questions in pastoral groups where I've asked them questions, and then they would try to justify it and try to mold it. And I'm saying, no, but you guys are not hearing me well. If I can take out the Bible right now and put it here and open it for you and tell you that there was a creation of men and women, and then it was said that let them multiply and fill the earth. Two people multiply and fill the earth. And later on, there was Adam and Eve that were created. Where did Adam and Eve come from if there were people already that were in existence? Because the Bible says so. And then now they want us to acknowledge that Adam and Eve are the first people. And then once it goes on, there are two people that are born, Abel and Cain. There are two people that are born from these two people. And they said there was only two people, and two people gave birth to two people. And then after, the other one killed the other. Cain killed Abel, who was the brother. Then we are left with how many people? Three people. The mother, the father, and the son.
How come all of us we got to multiply from only three people?
Wait, I'm coming. Now, the Bible, I'm talking about the descriptions of the Bible. The Bible says God was looking for Cain, and Cain was hiding. And he asked him, he said, where is your brother? His blood is crying, looking for me. And he said, am I my brother's keeper? Now, let me cut the story short. He said to him, you will become a refugee in your own land. What is a refuge? Number one, you will become a refugee in your own land. Everyone that sees you will want to kill you. Who's everyone? And then I will put a mark on your forehead that everyone that sees you will want to kill you. But if they kill you, I will repeat that 7 times. Who is God referring to if then that is spoken? Who is he referring to? And then now, the same person, it is said that he went and stayed by his uncle. Who's his uncle? And then he got married and gave birth to kids. Seth was part of them. Where is that woman coming from? You see this discrepancies I'm talking about. There's a lot. I'm just only telling you from Genesis. I can go further down there. But I'm just giving you these ones. That there's a lot of discrepancies. I can tell you about Lucifer, the devil himself. I can tell you, there's a lot that I can tell you about. That if I stand and ask these questions, I fail to get answers till today. You see? So I need, as a pastor, I need people to know the truth. I need people to understand where we are going.
And question things and be open to question.
Question is Mavusana. What if we die?
If we question, we seek. We are seekers.
Exactly.
Not questioning because of we want to provoke stuff and whatnot, but because we don't know.
A person who questions is a person who needs information.
Yeah,
we are a person who needs answers, who needs to be elevated, who needs to understand, who needs to have wisdom. That's the reason one is asking.
There's one element that I love in the creative field. I used to hate history at school, né? And then later on, you have a gift, and then you love your gift, and then you start to be all over the place. You travel the world, and people they love your gift. They receive you. And some they say, wow, you know, this piece, you've healed us. We are so informed and blah blah blah. We felt like this way, or after I watched your piece, I was crying, but there was sort of a relief and blah 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 and da da da. And then they start to want to know about you. Where are you coming from? And then it's history. Now, art,
Exactly.
you know, it makes you to face direct with the history now. Who are you? What kind of an environment are you? You know,
Are you operating in?
yes. And then what forms that environment? What is the link? What are you doing? What is it that you are doing? What is it called? If it is Panzul. And then yabona manje soqala uzibuza izinto eziningi inespansula manje. You're doing this thing. And then there's a lot of things that relates with you ngaso lespansula, but you start to go back and seek knowledge, and you start to now, wow, this thing never started now. And then it takes you back to Guma villages also as well. It takes you back to the history of Africa. It takes you back to, you know, everything that is linked, whether it's a Bible and
yes.
That's the gift that art Martini brought in my life. You know, even having to be exposed in so-called other talents and careers.
Sure.
Because when you start first, as I always say, you were devoted to this gift. And then there were layers of this surface as you
yes.
understanding yourself, you know. And there was a time, one of the interviews, they asked me, Guti, because I had to get a sponsor, a learnership, but I had to first do practicals in a company that goes along with the studies that I wanted to do. So I had to have that company to sponsor me at school while I'm doing practicals.
Okay.
It was conference and event management company way back then, after my high school days. So Mao Lontoza, when you go
been interviewed, you were interviewed.
Yeah, when I was interviewed. So they asked me, Guti, okay, how were you going to cope with all these things? As I lie in this campaign? And I said, no, I'm a dancer. And I'm doing a spansul, which is a complicated dance form. To complete one routine of 5 minutes, you need to come with thousands of styles.
Exactly, yes.
And I need to memorize that. So here it's just basic stuff. So that also adds mathematics, you know, that comes because it's mathematics, you count. You need to have a strategy, you know, and you even link yourself when you were playing soccer. You need to place yourself, you need to do this, you need to be strategic with this. So these are gifts that comes with being a creative or being involved in the art sector.
Sure.
So when you're talking like that, and now when you've been exposing all these things, and now you get to be a pastor and having all these backgrounds and questioning things and researching about things, you know, which is great.
No, you know what, to get to where I am, it was a decision that took me a long time as to get to be a pastor. It took me a long time. They've been telling me, I said, who? Me? I never. And things of like my lifestyle itself, you know.
But I was never surprised.
I knew you once said to me, there was one of the years back then, you said to me, if you open up a church, I'll be the first person to come to your church. You remember that time? But you said, I've been having challenges with churches, but if you open up a church, I'll be the first person to come to your church, or I'll come to your church. Yeah, because, you know, people need to know, like I was saying, people need to know the truth. And apart from that, imagine what would happen, Mavasana, that if it happens that we all die, and we die as Christians, we get to wherever we are going. And when we get there, the spiritual overseer there tells us that, guys, you are in the wrong place. You were supposed to actually worshiping this person called Lucifer, what would you say?
Yeah.
So I'm taking your mind somewhere. I want us to think about this.
Imagine.
Yeah, think well. Think of who you are. Because one, our information was not given us on black and white. Our information was given to parent after parent after parent after parent. And parent after parent were taken away from us, from slavery to slavery. Where is that information? How is that information now going to go forth? It's destroyed. It's cut. The umbilical cord of that information is gone. Hence, we are calling ourselves the lost generation. Because we don't have any information of who we are now or how we should be serving God. You get what I'm saying? We don't know where is right and where is left, but we know that there's a high being. There's God who we are supposed to serve. There's God that will help us achieve this. There's God that will make us draw our attention to good things or bad things, this and that and that. You see? That is how life is supposed to be. As much as we acknowledge that whatever you ask the universe gives it to you. What is the universe? The universe is your brain. Your mind itself is God. Speaks to you. If you read the Bible tells you that God says, I am. The I am. If I send you to shops, if I ask you to pick that glass and give it to me, and I would ask you a question, what are you doing? You would tell me, I'm picking this glass. I am picking this glass to give it to you. You used I am. In everything that you do, and somebody asks you a question, you refer yourself, say, God is saying, I'm doing this. As God, I'm doing this. You understand? So we as human, we are failing to see some of the little messages that God has sent to us.
Yo, wow, my brother.
I wish
we
could
can
take
talk
this.
until next year. If we have Taekwondo. I believe that we still have more sessions.
Sure.
Because on the other episodes we had young people, and these young people, they're still finding themselves, and they have desires, and they also have challenges, and they also have questions, and which I believe, episodes like these ones or conversations like these ones, they also answer to that. And obviously we'll have to see visit also the your channel, where you are unfolded, in all these many things that you are, from being a pastor, to a choreographer, a dancer, a karate master, and many, things that we are involved in. And it was quite a blessing, Tina, as a T with Magedlela. And as much as now you've just spoke about Uti, God is in us. I am God. And as much as Nati City, I am, which is Impilo Mapanzu.
Sure.
Yes. It was quite a blessing, my brother, which is even at this kind of a conversation. And I believe we're still gonna work a lot. And there's still a lot of things that I believe in your life, will grow and prosper. And then, your life itself is still a demand, to so many other young people within the creative space.
Sure, thank you.
And it's an honor to have Ipansula Elnjengawe, Not many people know Guti the Amapansula who thinks like you, and the Amapansula who do things that you do, and also the exposure that you already have, and the knowledge that you're always imparting, to the younger generations to come.
We're still going to get into that when we unfold who Taekwondo is.
As we unfold.
Yes, we will still get to that. We will still have to talk about the tours. We'll still have to talk about the Michaels, the Whitneys,
the Michael Jackson.
all those things are coming later on. Don't worry. You know, all these artists. We will talk about that. The moments I've shared when I was overseas, crying my lungs out, saying I've seen myself performing and thinking that I would be enough.
But your first experiences going overseas, those things, all these experiences that we have, first time ever.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that. Yeah, and personally, I would want to appreciate the opportunity, and I know there are many other good things that will come forth, and many blessings, bruh. Many blessings, many blessings, and know that you are in. I want to tell you, I've even told you before that if I say something, it's not that I'm a prophet, but it means I'm saying it in conviction. It will happen. Remember when you wanted to build the kitchen unit? There was you were just laughing, and I told you, don't worry, it will happen. Don't hurry yourself even. And what happened? Things just unfolded by themselves without you, by yourself, without even forcing it. So know that there's a lot coming from you.
Sure.
As much as you are saying that I still have a lot to offer, you are still pregnant. You haven't delivered yet. I told you before, you haven't delivered. You are still coming. If you thought you delivered the firstborn, there are other kids that are coming.
Sure.
Yeah. Thank you.
No, I believe in your words. I feel them. Yeah. No, thanks. This was Tea with Magedlela. Fana sehlonga ndlebe. Phansi kwaza fasa. U2.2 isibhamu esincane. Unyawo uzuthathu ufaka umpondo. Nonqulana uxhamele uncancisha umalamba edla inyama enyamazana amayiha amagcina. Dankie,
Hey, Tada. Sure.